Continue being brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah. All good. Morning. Like some bad coffee.
I'd offer you some bad coffee.
Good morning, sir. Yeah.
Oh, what did you say?
You had a fair few people here, didn't you, overnight?
I don't know. I'm not staying here.
Just between you and me, the tents in the show.
There's storage. Storage room.
I would offer you a bad coffee here, but I know you'll get bad coffee in there. So I'm going to get one more cup of coffee before the
You see, that woman over there, she threw a whole lot of paint and everything down on the thing, you see.
Yeah.
You see, and that's not good, you see. You see, I don't agree with this, you see, because, you see, the police will allow you to indulge in what I call normal. But then when you start using loud hailers and shouting and making all this noise, and then they were going out into the street and obstructing the traffic, and then she come along and threw a whole lot of... Hello.
So the
She threw a whole lot of red paint on the street, and then she, apart from that, that splattered up onto the uniform of the police, you see. So, I mean, then this is what happens, because, you see, I knew, but then the judge also sent out someone to appeal to them to stop yesterday on a loud hail. And they totally ignored it, they kept on shouting. The judge actually requested somebody to come out, and they did come out and appeal to them to stop. And they didn't, so that's the consequence.
The whole thing of the protest, I think, to the way I perceive it, is that they're protesting the actual order that's being done here. So they're protesting the lack of rule of law. So
they are, but you see, I have been protesting here since 1967, and I've been in a whole host of protests. And you see, I am an Irish Republican, and I'm chairman of the Irish Civil Rights Association. And I have organised campaigns here against internment without trial in occupied Ireland. I've supported the Irish hunger strikers, and then when the Prevention of Terrorism Act was introduced, I campaigned against that. And then there was a whole host of miscarriages of justice, like the Birmingham 6 and the Guildford 4 and the Maguire 7, and I campaigned all against that.
And the whole idea of protesting, and what I see from the Irish back in the day, maybe still sometimes a little bit, is that the whole idea is to not follow the rules, right? You're protesting, so how can you protest following?
Yeah, well, sometimes you see, if you don't follow the rules, then you will get banned altogether from protesting in areas where it is. See, like the call. I mean, they would call this area here in front of us. It's a very spacious one. They would say that it is the courtyard. That is the courtyard. Mm-hmm. So you see, you and I could protest outside here, but we were in there with that. They could arrest us.
That's what surprised me.
I mean, we're only half. I mean, we're only. Hello, Barnaby.
I gave it a try just now.
How are you doing? How are you? How are you? No, there's not many there today, is there?
No. So what I was trying to do just now is just as an experiment or whatever, is go past security and move myself back to where the big cameras are. But they wouldn't let me today.
Yeah, I know.
And I was doing my routine. Look, I'm a reporter with my recording device and my camera. So where's your press card then? But I don't have one.
Yeah, right.
So I couldn't get in. But yesterday they let me in.
Oh yeah.
So between yesterday and today, what happened? In your assessment would be too many people, too many paint on the floor, and the flares.
No. They were making too much noise, and the noise was affecting the court. You see, because it is a fairly small court, and you see, it's not one of these it's one of these modern courts where you see, if you take the old stone-built courts, you cannot hear noise from outside. Yeah. You see, since 1967, I have been going to all of the courts, the Magistrates' Court, the Crown Courts, the Appeal Courts, and sometimes I appear in courts myself. I represent people in the county courts. I make representation on behalf of people who are going to be evicted from their properties.
Okay.
So I actually a defect in
you're
the
smiling,
law.
so I'm only recording the audio, but you're smiling while you're telling this. So that's fulfilling.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is. Sometimes you see when you. I remember recently I was in a court, and there was a woman going to be evicted, and she had a 4-year-old boy and a 3-year-old child with her, and the little boy said to me, "Are you helping my mummy?"
Yeah.
You know, and they were on the threshold of being evicted.
Yeah. And there's not too many people helping them, so he was like, "Oh."
Well, no, there was one solicitor there from shelter, and there was 19 cases, and there was one. So he asked me, would I take some of the other cases, which I volunteered to, because I went there to help one specific person, you see. And then he asked me, would I take the other cases? So I said to him, well, I was doing television broadcast that, and it was at 2 or 3 o'clock in central London. So I said, what I'll do is I'll stop here till lunchtime, till the court rises at 1 o'clock. So I think I did about 7 or 8 cases.
But so I started recording just before I did. You told me you were at all the Assange hearings.
Yes.
After he got dragged out of the embassy.
No. Before, no.
Even before.
No, before he went into the. No. Before he went into the embassy, I was at I was at all of them before he went into the embassy.
Yeah.
And then when he did go into the embassy, I went to the borough commanders, the police borough commander's office for Kensington and Chelsea. And I started the vigil outside of the Ecuadorian embassy.
Okay. So, but that was leading up to a question: as your assessment of the rule of law in this fine country, with regards to the case of Julian Assange.
Well, it's not the rule of law here. It's the American law. That's
it's Her Majesty's Crown Court, it's not the United States.
Yeah, well, no. You see, what's at stake here is the extradition treaty between the United Kingdom and the United States of America. That's what's at issue here. In all of the other cases, up until the issue of the extradition warrant by the United States, it was the European extradition treaty that applied. You see. So, and the whole argument in relation to Julian Assange was, in all of the cases, was whether the Swedish judicial authority who issued the European extradition warrant, the argument was whether it was the police or the judicial authority should issue the warrant. And Julian Assange lawyers were arguing that the European extradition warrant was issued by the wrong authority. It shouldn't have been issued by a judicial authority. It should have been issued by the police. It's just like if they wanted to extradite you from the Netherlands, we'll say, to the United Kingdom. You see, it would be the British police that would issue the extradition warrant for you, and that would be served on the Netherlands police in the area where you were residing, and then you would be detained, and then you could apply through your court process not to be extradited to the United Kingdom.
So the reason I bring up the trustworthiness or validity or whatever the proper word is, I'm not a native English speaker, of the United Kingdom legal system, is that the American extradition request was only made after he was taken from the embassy, not before, and he was arbitrarily detained, according to Nils Meltzer of the United Nations, in all the years preceding that extradition, that throwing him out of the embassy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, United Kingdom was working in a concerted effort. So this is what Nils Meltzer, as rapporteur for torture, claims.
Well, you see,
but
you see, when the common market was originally formed, General de Gaulle refused to allow the United Kingdom into the European Union because he said that they would go in and destruct the European Union on behalf of the United States of America, because he said that they were not British, that they were Anglo-Americans, and General de Gaulle was right. And that's what's happening now, because Boris Johnson and a vast majority of the politicians here, they are not British, they are Anglo-Americans, and that is what is going on. And if you read back to General de Gaulle, what he said, and when he said no, and wouldn't allow them in, and you read all the different speeches that he made and the writings that he made, he said that the British were going in to the European Union to break it up on behalf of the United States of America. And you see, the British have a primitive instinct for violence and killing, and they've exported that primitive instinct to the United States of America, and that is why they are so enhanced with the United States of America, and have been throughout history. So that is what's happening now. I mean, you've got the worst undemocratic presidents.
There is a bit of an irony then that the United Kingdom is the party leaving the European Union.
I know, yes. Well, they're leaving the European Union in the hope that they're going to get a big deal from the United States. But I'm afraid they're not going to get the big deal in the United States, and it's because of the Irish lobby in Washington. You see, in the Congress of the United States, in the Irish lobby, there are 65 Congress people, led by Nancy Pelosi, who are not going to have a trade agreement between the United Kingdom and the United States, except that there is no border in Ireland. It's not as simple as you might think.
No. Oh no, I'm not claiming it's simple. And also the whole leaving the EU, the whole Brexit thing.
He used to head of WikiLeaks.
Oh yeah, fair. Oh, he was thrown out of.
How are you? How are you doing?
So, did you manage to get back in or no?
Yes,
You did.
After the protest and the tweets, it took only a minute for them to react and.
But I didn't get where you were thrown out, or where you had to leave. Why did you have to leave?
Well, I got no explanation. They just told me when I got to the court.
This is being recorded, though. I was talking.
Just before I got to the public gallery, my name was called out, and I was informed that is that editor of WikiLeaks here. So I've been informed by the court that you were not allowed in the public gallery.
You still don't know why?
Still haven't got no explanation. But after I announced this outrage here and people started tweeting it, within minutes there was some reaction, and the head of security here came and said this was some kind of a mistake. They did apologize, but I have no explanation of why this happened in the first place. But I have no doubt about it that the strong reaction, the retweets, and just did the job. Because
you see, I've been going to these courts since 1967. You see, the rules in relation to the public gallery is that I don't know how many seats is in there. It's a 22. You see, so if 22 people queue up, the first 22 people that are queued up are allowed to go in, and that's it. That is the procedure. You see, sometimes they will allow, we'll say, family members or legal representatives into the body of the court. Sometimes.
I mean, there's a special seat there for the public.
And there's also one for the journalists.
The family.
There's also one for there's a section for the family, and then there's a section for journalists as well.
There's an overflow room for the journalists.
Oh, is there as well? Oh, yeah. But how many seats is in the court? There's only about 8 or 9 for journalists. On the what they call the press bench, there's only about 8 seats on that.
So now that you're here, what's your impression of how did it go today?
Well, it's the strength of the arguments that we are seeing piling up here against the hollowness of what is being presented on the behalf of the U.S. is just overwhelming, and we're only on day 2 of this war. And I mean, in a world where actually
he was handcuffed 11 times. Moved between 5 different.
Facts matter. In a judicial process where the law would matter, I wouldn't be concerned at all. My friend here, John Lewis, said earlier, if this was a jury trial, it would already be over. It's such an overwhelming evidence being presented here already on day 2. It should be game over already.
But you're worried nonetheless.
Of course I'm worried. Just see the process. I've never experienced as a journalist for 30 years the kind of process where concerned citizens and the public are thrown outside the premise of the court. Not just outside the building, but outside the lawn.
Yeah.
Good job,
they have been demanding cards from the public, do you have a card? So what do you
This is
mean?
what happened
I
to
am,
me. So
yes.
I'm a citizen reporter, right? I just
Yes.
carry this device, and yesterday I was okay to be there and talk to everybody. This morning nobody's there except the police officer saying, "Where's your press card?"
Well, not just the press, but everybody else said, "Where is your card?" And people say, "I'm the public. I don't need a card." Yes, you
Yeah.
do need a card.
Yeah.
So what kind of world is this? Do you need
No,
a?
yeah.
Where do you get the card to be
Yeah,
a
yeah.
citizen allowed into a
Yeah,
courtroom?
yeah, yeah.
What kind of is this? It's
A little
ridiculous.
bit for
Good for you, mate.
Just had to, you know who
The
you
only thing I didn't catch is your name. What's your name?
Yeah,
sir?
my name is Jim Curran.
Okay, Jim.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks for talking.
Sorry.
All right, so it's February 26th, and I'm done with my little tour at Woolwich Crown Court. I started this thing in front of Buckingham Palace. Now this felt like a proper place to close it off. This is Tower of London. Within the backdrop, as you can see, that is the City of London. So I'm going to walk around here, make some images, and reflect on these past 3 days. Marketa Gregorova said, when we were discussing the amateuristic way the trial was organized by the British, that yeah, well, this is the oldest democracy in the world. So I don't know what she meant. Is it the oldest democracy in the world, just like an old ruin, right? So it's up for renewal. It's had its day. Or that it's proven technology and that it will be robust and that it will still stand like the castle, like the Tower of London. Most people that I talked to here were full of hope and had their faith in the legal system still, even though they knew the game is rigged. But that's how we grew up. You're supposed to have faith in the rule of law and in the justice system. Well, I saw the changing of the guard at Buckingham Palace on Sunday, and one thing the British are good at is pretense and decorum. At least when it's paid for. So I was in London like years ago, and that was when people would actually nicely stand in queue in public transportation, wait for the people to get out before you get on. Well, there's none of that anymore here. It's just like everywhere else in the world. So all decorum and decency has left, but it didn't get replaced by a sense of morality. So I suppose decency has left the rule of law also. Yeah, so really Assange doesn't have a chance. So I think he doesn't stand a chance. I was at the entrance gate of Woolwich Crown Court this morning, pretty early, to see how early people actually queue up. Well, the first to arrive are there at 7, trying to get onto the public part of the hearing. It's supposed to be a public hearing. So what's happened in the United Kingdom that the public can't get in to a public hearing? They should facilitate for that, but they don't, and they don't even allow the press in or international observers. You have to queue up in order to follow this case. So this case, the way it's been dealt with by United Kingdom, well, that's corruption. They don't follow their own standards. Now, I'm at Tower of London, so I don't know United Kingdom history, but I know that building, as it used to be a prison, so that's the only thing that I know of it. But it wasn't always a prison. It's been a prison for a little while. It was built as a symbol of resistance, or by the resistance, back in the day. It's one of the oldest things here, oldest landmarks here in London. And what I remember of it is that it also functioned as a prison. This is the choice United Kingdom has. Although I think the choice has been made already. But the choice before them is, are they going to be a prison? Or are they going to be symbol of resistance? The cards are laid already, so not much of a choice. Yesterday evening there was a imperialism on trial event organized by the people supporting Assange, and it was said there as well. The American lawyers, they're not even trying. they didn't prepare their case as well as they could, or they don't have the evidence that they need to make their case. But they don't have to. The case is made already. And this morning at the gate, some people reflected on the way the defense is going out of their way to deliver a proper defense for Assange. Reason being, even if he does get extradited, we really need to document what's happening here. Here's a guy that's proverbially being nailed to the cross. And that is pretty much what United Kingdom is an accomplice of. He doesn't stand a chance. And there's more examples in history where a corrupt empire nails a guy to the cross to make an example. So, that's Tower of London. Within the backdrop, the City of London. So that's the big financial center. So first arrival of the legal team was Assange's lawyer, cheered on by the few people that were in line to get on the public part of the court. And after that there were the United States lawyers. So they resemble the bankers working here, right? The nice, clean-cut, well-dressed, measured suits, lawyers showing off their confidence. And I suppose rightfully so. They know they've got a case. John Shipman, he walks to court. Assange is dead by the tent site, where Tom and a guy from Australia is camping out with a few people, and John Shipman makes small talk there, and he's cheerful, he's smiling, he's happy, he's relaxed, or appears to be. And I daren't ask if that's genuine or how much faith he holds. But maybe there's only one choice. The only choice that you have is what John Varoufakis said when I came walking up Sunday. Like, there's always hope. And what are we doing here if we don't hope? So one of the main things I wanted to get out of it is to see firsthand how it's being reported on. Well, I got to see that. Bunch of cameras in front. That was impressive. 200 people demonstrating. Oh, the French that came over. That was way impressive. One guy from the Netherlands on the press list. Not so impressive. Didn't get to see him. He was not there at the press conference afterwards. All he did was make appearance, write up his story, regurgitating the American point, saying, "Oh, Assange looked good today. Different from the confused guy in the wild beard that was dragged from the embassy." Nothing was said. Why Assange grew a beard in the embassy? I mean, if you don't give a guy a shaving kit for months and months on time, and all the other stuff that he's had to endure there, well, then you're gonna look like the way he got dragged out of the embassy. Nothing from that was in the Dutch journalist report by the Dutch Broadcasting Corporation, the NOS. He wasn't there after at the press conference. He wasn't there Tuesday, Wednesday, and I asked him, "Why aren't you here?" Well, WikiLeaks makes a statement. I mean, that's if you're a journalist, that's the newsworthy bit. And he said, No, I only have Monday for this. I'm going to cover Brexit from now on. Tim de Wit is covering Brexit. Now, Brexit was a slow story to cover. You had years to do that, but it came to a conclusion like weeks ago. There's nothing to cover now. The one true global story happening is in front of Woolwich Crown Court. And he's not there, so I was the only Dutch guy there. No protesters even, but lots of nationalities were there. Hans from Norway, another guy from Norway. So Denmark, Belgium, France, Germany,
United States, South Africa, Australia. I must have missed a bunch. So there were loads of people, just no reporters from the Netherlands. 3 things I wanted to get out of this trip. 1, wanted to see up close how Dutch press, Dutch journalists are functioning. Where does that story on the 8 o'clock news come from? Who's the reporter that created it? So I learned it. He wasn't here. He was here for the Monday and didn't even bother to stay till the end. So, that's one thing. The other one that I wanted to learn was who's going to be here supporting Assange, if anyone. I mean, I've seen the previous hearings, and then you see the live cam set up there by Rupley or Russia Today, and you see like 50 or 100 at max demonstrators there with some banners, and now I saw those people, and there's more. There were loads of people here, and I talked to them, and that's hopeful. And then the French showed up, the Gilets jaunes. That was brilliant. Took the bus, got there, banged the fences the whole day, got back home. So there's hopefully. Maybe we are due for a good conflict of interest between the French and the British again. So there were activists here, none from the Netherlands, except for me. That's also a funny thing. So I consider myself a journalist, and on Monday I passed the security guards and they asked, "Oh, are you protesting or are you a journalist?" "Oh, I'm a journalist. Here's my camera." "Okay, you can go." So I was led on the square in front of court. Then on Tuesday, "What are you?" "Oh, journalist." "Where's your press card then?" "I don't have any. I'm independent." "Well, without a press card, you're not getting on." So they stopped me at the fence on the next day. Next day, when hardly anyone was there. So on the Monday was total chaos, 200 people protesting, and I could just walk in there, and I couldn't on the next day. But there were people protesting. I saw some people that said I was there on every single event leading up to this, every single trial hearing or at the Ecuadorian embassy. People flew in from all over the world, so that was cool. And then the third thing I wanted to see up close is if Assange has a chance, if the rule of law has a chance, and I'm not so hopeful. So the way I see it is that the British legal system has lost their pretense, has lost their clothes. We got the Brits standing there naked. It's not a pretty sight, and yeah, I'm not sure if Assange is going to get extradited, but he's definitely not going to win this battle here this week. You know, he's not going to win it in May, and maybe he's going to be bullied for the next 2 years, 3 years, until he wins his final appeal, if he lives that long. And maybe, just maybe, that's the only thing the Americans have on him. Supported by the Brits and supported by my own government that keeps their mouth shut. Because if you know you're not going to get him extradited, then what can you do? Well, you're going to hurt him. So let's stick him in the worst prison that we have. And they probably would have stuck him here in the Tower of London if it was still operational, but they chose Belmarsh instead. And inflicted as much pain as they could because they can't get him extradited. All right. Take care.
Yes, we came, we saw, he died.
Every nation in every region now has a decision to make.
You think I'm joking? Predator drones. You will never see it coming.
Laat staan dat ik kan ingaan over vuur.